The Silent Watchers. Commander Elena Reyes stood motionless before the reinforced viewport of Outpost Sentinel, her eyes fixed on the endless canvas of stars. 30 kilometers beneath the lunar surface, this secret installation represented humanity's greatest gamble, a defense system hidden from both Earth's population and any watching eyes from beyond. Proximity alert from the Kuiper Belt sensors, Commander Lieutenant Wei Chen announced, his voice cutting through the command center's controlled silence. Multiple objects decelerating from superluminal velocities. Elena's heartbeat quickened, but her expression remained impassive. After 15 years of waiting, watching, and preparing, first contact was no longer theoretical. Verify and classify, she ordered, moving to the central holographic display where dozens of red markers had appeared at the edge of the solar system. Verification confirmed, Wei replied, his fingers dancing across the adaptive interface. We're detecting 27 vessels of varying configurations. The largest measures approximately 3 kilometers in length. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Captain Marcus Jackson, head of tactical operations, joined them at the display. Looks like Operation Cassandra wasn't paranoid after all, he said quietly. The irony wasn't lost on Elena. When UN Security Council Resolution 157 had secretly established the Sentinel program 20 years ago, most participants had considered it an expensive insurance policy against an unlikely scenario. Only a handful of scientists and military personnel had truly believed first contact would occur in their lifetime. Alert all Sentinel outposts, Elena commanded. Implement Shadow Protocol, but maintain emissions blackout. Let's see what they do before we reveal ourselves. Throughout the solar system, 12 other hidden facilities, disguised as mining operations, research stations, or simply buried within celestial bodies, received the alert and began preparing for potential conflict. Aboard the Draconian Empire's flagship Inevitable Victory, Supreme Commander Zorax observed the primitive blue planet with undisguised contempt. His scaled skin glistened under the command deck's harsh lighting, elaborately decorated armor marking his elevated status among his species. Scans confirm minimal defensive capabilities, Supreme Commander reported First Officer Vexra, her forked tongue flicking between pointed teeth. No detection of energy shields, weapons platforms, or faster-than-light technology. Their most advanced vessels appear confined to their immediate planetary system. Zorax's lipless mouth curved in what passed for a smile among his species. A primitive acquisition, then. The Emperor will be pleased. Their world shows abundant resources, and the biological diversity will provide excellent specimens for the gladiatorial arenas. The Draconian Empire had expanded across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy over centuries, incorporating or eradicating over 200 civilizations. They measured species by their technological advancement, particularly their defensive and propulsion capabilities. By those standards, Earth barely registered. Deploy scout vessels to evaluate their primitive defenses, Zorax commanded. Standard pattern. Let them detect one vessel approaching their planet while the others remain cloaked. Observe their response protocols. As you command, Vexra bowed, transmitting the orders. Zorax settled into his command throne. Let us see how these humans react when they realize they are no longer alone in the cosmos, he rumbled, amused at the thought of their inevitable panic. At Sentinel Command on Earth, General Amara Okafor reviewed the incoming data with grim satisfaction. As architect of humanity's hidden defense initiative, she'd spent decades preparing for this moment. The alien vessels are deploying smaller craft, reported her aide, Colonel Hassan. One is approaching Earth openly while several others maintain some kind of visual cloaking technology. They're testing us, Amara noted. They want to see how we react to an obvious approach while their hidden vessels observe our response. She tapped her secure communication device. Implement Deception Protocol Alpha. Let them think their evaluation is proceeding as expected. Around the world, major governments received classified briefings about a potential unidentified object approaching Earth. Military forces were placed on alert, but with deliberately outdated detection systems and weapons. Meanwhile, the true defensive network remained dormant and undetected. The Draconian scout ship entered Earth's atmosphere with calculated arrogance, allowing itself to be detected by conventional radar systems. Military jets scrambled to intercept, armed with missiles that posed no threat to the advanced vessel. From his command position, Lieutenant Drayax watched the primitive aircraft approach with amusement. These humans send atmospheric vehicles against us. Their weapons can't even penetrate our basic shielding. The scout ship easily evaded the Earth fighters, conducting atmospheric analysis and scanning major population centers while relaying all data back to the fleet. Occasionally, it demonstrated technological superiority by disabling pursuing aircraft with targeted electromagnetic pulses that caused systems failures but no crashes, a deliberate show of restraint meant to emphasize the technological gap. Aboard the inevitable Victory, Zorax received the scout reports with increasing satisfaction. Their response is exactly as predicted for a pre-galactic civilization, he told his assembled officers. They attempt defense with primitive projectile weapons and combustion-based aircraft. Their communications reveal confusion and fear. "Shall we proceed with standard acquisition protocol?" asked Vexra. "Yes," Zorax nodded. "Deploy harvester units to secure specimens from each continent. Begin resource evaluation of their oceans and mineral deposits. The subjugation phase can begin within one planetary rotation." Behind his confident exterior, something nagged at the Supreme Commander, a feeling he couldn't quite identify. The humans' response seemed almost rehearsed, as if they were performing exactly as expected. In his centuries of conquest, Zorax had learned to trust his instincts. "As a precaution," he added, "maintain highest alert status and enhance scanning protocols. Something doesn't feel right." In the Lunar Command Center, the Lena Rais watched the Draconian fleet's activities with calculated patience. "They're proceeding exactly as the psychological models predicted," she noted. "Arrogance based on technological superiority, testing responses before full engagement. Harvester units deploying from the main fleet," White reported. "Trajectory suggests they're targeting major population centers across all continents." The Lena's eyes narrowed. "Perfect. Time to educate our visitors about humanity's first rule of warfare. Never assume your enemy has shown you everything they have." She activated the global secure channel. "All Sentinel outposts. This is Commander Reyes. Operation Looking Glass is now active. I repeat, Looking Glass is active. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations powered up previously dormant systems. On Earth, concealed defense platforms disguised as ordinary structures, office buildings, mountain ranges, underwater formations, silently prepared their weapons. The first sign that something was wrong came when 3 Draconian harvester ships suddenly lost contact with the fleet. One moment they were descending toward population centers in North America, Europe, and Asia. The next, they simply vanished from monitoring systems. "Supreme Commander," Vexra's usual composure had vanished. "We've lost contact with Harvesters 7, 12, and 15. Zorax rose from his command throne. Explanation: "Unknown, Supreme Commander. Our sensors detected unusual energy signatures moments before contact was lost. Energy patterns unlike anything in our database." Before Zorax could respond, the tactical officer shouted, "Multiple energy signatures activating across the planet's surface, and from their moon." Zorax stared in disbelief as the holographic display showed previously undetected installations powering up across Earth's solar system. Impossible. Their technological assessment showed no such capabilities. "The humans deceived us," Vexra whispered, the concept almost incomprehensible to the Draconian mind. In their experience, inferior species lacked both the capacity and the discipline for such elaborate deception. On the lunar base, Alina gave the order that humanity had prepared for over 2 decades. "All units, execute Ghost Protocol Phase 1. Across Earth's solar system, quantum-linked weapons platforms activated simultaneously. Unlike conventional weapons, these had been designed specifically to counter the types of technology humanity expected advanced species might possess. Technology they had glimpsed in unexplained phenomena and recovered fragments over centuries. The Sentinel weapons didn't target the Draconian ships directly. Instead, they created localized distortions in space-time, quantum bubbles that isolated targets from normal space. Any ship caught in these fields found its exotic power sources and propulsion systems suddenly operating under different physical laws, resulting in catastrophic failures. Aboard the inevitable Victory, alarms blared as reports flooded in of ships suddenly losing power, weapons failing, and in some cases, drives imploding. "What is happening?" Zorax roared, watching as his mighty fleet found itself under attack by weapons they couldn't detect until it was too late. "The humans have technology that should be impossible for their development stage," Vexra reported, her voice shaking. "They're creating localized reality distortions that our shields cannot block." Zorax smashed his scaled fist against the command console. "All ships, emergency protocols. Prepare for full assault pattern. These humans want war. We will show them the full might of the Draconian Empire." As the main Draconian fleet began maneuvering into attack formation, Alina Reyes allowed herself a small, grim smile. "Phase 1 successful," she announced to her crew. "They've taken the bait. Prepare for Phase 2. The true test of humanity's secret defenses was about to begin, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. But for the first time since detecting the approaching fleet, Alina felt a spark of hope. The Draconians had made the oldest mistake in warfare. They had underestimated their enemy. The Ghost Protocol. Supreme Commander Zorax paced the command deck of the inevitable Victory, his clawed feet leaving scratch marks on the metallic floor. Around him, the command crew worked frantically to assess the damage inflicted by the humans' unexpected defense systems. "Status report," he snarled, yellow eyes blazing with fury. Tactical Officer Kraz approached cautiously. "We've lost 7 harvesters and 3 support vessels, Supreme Commander. 5 more ships report critical systems failures. The humans have deployed some form of space-time manipulation technology that our shields cannot counter." Zorax turned to the main viewport, staring at the distant blue planet with newfound respect and hatred. In 3 centuries of military service, he had never encountered such effective deception. How could a species confined to their own solar system possess technology that rivals our quantum field manipulators? "Unknown, Supreme Commander," First Officer Vexra replied. "But sensor analysis confirms they've hidden installations throughout their system, on their moon, on Mars, and several of their outer planets and moons. They've maintained a technological facade while secretly preparing for external contact." The realization struck Zorax like a physical blow. The Draconian Empire had catalogued Earth decades ago as a pre-spacefaring civilization, monitoring its primitive radio transmissions and early spacecraft. But what if those had been deliberately maintained to create an impression of technological inferiority? What if humans had discovered advanced technology, perhaps from crashed scout ships or even from another alien civilization, and reverse-engineered it while maintaining their primitive appearance? "Recalibrate our assessment," Zorax commanded. "This is no longer a Class 3 acquisition. Upgrade to Class 1 threat response. Deploy the entire fleet in combat formation." As the Draconian vessels realigned for a full-scale assault, Zorax reviewed everything he knew about military strategy. If the humans had deceived them about their technological capabilities, what else might they be hiding? In the hidden command center beneath the lunar surface, Commander Alina Reyes monitored the Draconian fleet's movements with growing concern. The enemy was adapting more quickly than anticipated. "They're reconfiguring their shield harmonics," Way reported, "attempting to counter our quantum disruption fields." Captain Marcus Jackson frowned at the tactical display. "And they're deploying in a Kraveki combat formation, designed to maximize cross-vessel shield coverage. These lizards know what they're doing." Elena nodded grimly. We've lost the element of surprise. They underestimated us once. They won't make that mistake again. She opened a secure channel to Earth. General Okafor, the Draconians are preparing for a full assault. Ghost Protocol Phase 1 is no longer effective. Request permission to implement Phase 2. On the holographic display, General Amara Okafor's expression remained composed despite the gravity of the situation. Casualties from Phase 2 deployment could be significant, Commander. Once initiated, we cannot control who gets caught in the field. Understood, General. But if we don't stop them here, Earth casualties will be incalculable. After a moment's hesitation, Okafor nodded. Permission granted. May God have mercy on us all. Elena turned to her crew. Initiate Ghost Protocol Phase 2. Alert all Sentinel outposts to synchronize quantum signatures and prepare for simultaneous activation. Throughout Earth's solar system, hidden installations began reconfiguring their quantum field generators. Unlike Phase 1, which had targeted individual ships with localized disruptions, Phase 2 would create a system-wide effect, one that violated several fundamental laws of physics in ways that even the Sentinel scientists didn't fully understand. The Draconian fleet approached Earth in perfect attack formation, weapons charged and shields reinforced. Despite the initial setback, Supreme Commander Zorax felt confident in their overwhelming firepower. Whatever tricks these humans possessed, they couldn't possibly match the combined might of 20 Draconian warships. All vessels report ready for engagement, Vectra announced. Weapons locked on human defense installations. Excellent, Zorax growled. Begin the assault. Show these humans the price of defiance against thee. His command was interrupted by a blaring alarm. On the tactical display, strange energy readings emanated from multiple points throughout the solar system, from Earth's moon, from Mars, from several of Jupiter's and Saturn's moons, and even from distant outposts near Neptune. What now? Zorax demanded. The science officer stared at his readings in disbelief. The humans are generating some kind of interconnected field effect. It's as if they're creating quantum entanglement across the entire solar system. On the lunar base, Elena watched as the synchronized quantum field generators reached full power. Ghost Protocol Phase 2 at critical threshold. Wei announced, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his posture. Field stability at 97% and holding. On my mark, Elena commanded, her finger hovering over the activation control. She thought briefly of the countless simulations they had run, of the theoretical models that could never fully predict what would happen next. 3, 2, 1. Execute. Across the solar system, the quantum field generators activated simultaneously, creating an entangled network that extended throughout the space occupied by the Draconian fleet. Unlike conventional weapons that destroyed targets, Ghost Protocol Phase 2 altered the very fabric of space-time around the fleet, creating what theoretical physicists had once called a phantom zone, a region where the normal laws of physics temporarily ceased to function. Aboard the inevitable Victory, chaos erupted as systems failed in ways that defied explanation. Quantum communications collapsed. Navigation systems showed impossible readings. Power cores fluctuated wildly. What's happening? Zorax demanded, watching in horror as the viewscreen showed his mighty fleet seemingly phasing in and out of visible reality. The humans have created some kind of field effect, the science officer reported, frantically trying to make sense of the readings. Our ships exist in normal space, and somewhere else simultaneously. Quantum uncertainty at a macro scale. Zorax stared in disbelief as his vessels, the pride of the Draconian fleet, began to destabilize at the quantum level. One moment, they were solid matter. The next, they seemed to exist as probability waves. Shut down all quantum systems, he ordered desperately. Revert to baseline technology. But it was too late. The field had permeated every ship, affecting their exotic matter power cores in ways that cascaded through all systems. One by one, the Draconian vessels began to flicker like faulty holograms, their very existence becoming uncertain. In the Lunar Command Center, Y monitored the effect with scientific detachment that masked his inner turmoil. Field stability at 99%. The Draconian fleet is experiencing quantum decoherence on a massive scale. Are we recording everything? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What they were witnessing, what they were causing, had never been seen before in human history. All sensors active, Marcus confirmed. Though I'm not sure our physicists will believe what they're seeing. On the tactical display, the red markers representing Draconian vessels were fading, not in the normal way that would indicate destruction, but as if they were becoming less real, transitioning from definite existence to mere possibility. Quantum signatures of all Draconian vessels approaching zero amplitude, Way reported. They're phasing out of our reality. One by one, the mighty warships of the Draconian fleet simply vanished, not exploding or breaking apart, but fading from existence as if they had never been there at all. The inevitable victory was the last to go, its massive form dimming like a dying light, until only empty space remained where the threatening Armada had been. For several minutes, silence reigned in the command center as the crew struggled to comprehend what they had witnessed. Ghost Protocol Phase 2 complete, Way finally reported. No Draconian signatures detected within the solar system. Elena leaned heavily against the command console. Where did they go? She asked, the question directed as much to herself as to her crew. Marcus shook his head. According to the theoretical models, nowhere, everywhere. The field created a state of quantum superposition on a macro scale. They exist as probability waves now, with no fixed reality. Can they return? Unknown, Commander. The mathematics suggests their probability of reconstituting in our reality approaches zero. But we're in uncharted territory, Elena finished for him. She opened a channel to Earth. General Okafor, this is Commander Reyes. The Draconian threat has been neutralized. I repeat, the threat has been neutralized. General Okafor's face appeared on the screen, her expression revealing both relief and concern. Casualties. None on our side. As for the Draconians, Elena hesitated. They're gone. All of them. Gone where? That's a question for the physicists, General. But they're no longer in our space-time continuum. Okafor nodded slowly. I'll inform the Security Council. Maintain alert status in case they find a way back. As the communication ended, Elena turned to the viewport, gazing at the stars that seemed unchanged despite the momentous events that had just occurred. Humanity had survived its first encounter with a hostile alien civilization. But at what cost? They had deployed a weapon they didn't fully understand, with consequences they couldn't predict. Do you think there are others out there? Way asked quietly, joining her at the viewport. Other civilizations who might have detected what we did. Elena nodded slowly. Almost certainly. We've announced our presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, and we've demonstrated technology that, according to our visitors, we shouldn't possess. Will they come for us too? Some will, out of fear or greed. Elena replied. But perhaps others will approach with caution and respect, having seen what happened to the Draconians. Marcus joined them, his usual military stoicism softened by wonder. We thought we were preparing to defend Earth, but we've done much more than that. We've changed humanity's place in the galaxy overnight. Elena turned from the stars to face her crew. The next few years would bring challenges none of them could predict, as humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as primitive newcomers, but as a civilization to be reckoned with, a species that had sent a mighty alien fleet into oblivion. Send word to all Sentinel outposts, she ordered. Maintain Ghost Protocol readiness, but begin preparations for possible diplomatic contact as well. The Draconians won't be the last visitors we receive. As the crew returned to their stations, Elena took one last look at the empty space where the Draconian fleet had been. They had laughed at Earth's apparent silence and primitive technology. never suspecting the truth until it was too late. Their mighty star fortress and its accompanying fleet had vanished into quantum uncertainty, a grim warning to any other civilization that might underestimate humanity. Earth was no longer hiding, and the galaxy would never be the same.